Well, hello, everybody. It's Julene with JovesStar Astrology. Happy New Year, everybody. We are here at the very first full moon of 2025, which I'm going to talk to you about. I missed the month of December, obviously. You guys are going to be like, we can't trust her anymore. I was really sick the week of New Year's, and then of course I had Christmas stuff going on. So anyway, first full moon of 2025, and we're getting the year started off with a bang. And I'm going to go over the full moon with you. Very, very interesting full moon. It's actually happening right now, depending on where you're at. Today, January the 13th, 2025. It's quite the full moon. It's got a bit of a kick. There's a lot of emotion in this full moon. Lots of stuff going on with people's homes and family and security, comfort issues, all kinds of stuff. We're going to take a look at it. If you're a cardinal sign, you're getting hit by this full moon. So that's Cancer, Capricorn, Aries, and Libra. It is a full moon in the sign of Cancer. So you might be feeling it if you are a cardinal sign very, very strongly today, actually, for the last few days. So we'll go over what some of this means. We do still have a lot of mutability in the air. We've got those mutable squares between Pisces and Gemini. We don't have anything going on in Virgo anymore. That's been cleared out for a little while. Thank goodness, right? We no longer have the opposition with Mercury and Sagittarius, which I think has things have let up there, I think, for the mutable signs, at least somewhat, but we're not out of the woods yet. So we will take a look at this full moon. We'll talk about it like we always do. And we'll take a look at the Sabian symbols. I'm looking for my Sabian symbol book. Here it is. This full moon is at 23 degrees and 59 minutes of Cancer. So just a tick under 24 degrees of Cancer. And we will talk about that Sabian symbol. I think we'll talk about it first. I think I've been doing that lately. And let's see, let me just grab it right now since I have my book right here handy. 23 degrees Cancer Sabian symbol, rounding up to 24 degrees. A woman and two men on a bit of sunlit land facing south. Keyword inception. The theme is being prepared. This symbol speaks to decision-making as it applies to allegiances and loyalties and deciding which demands will be answered. The image of a woman and two men on a bit of sunlit land facing south emphasizes mediation and the need to balance competing interests. The woman symbolizes emotions, and the two men symbolize the mental and physical or habit nature. Together, they represent the Platonic three souls of man. The South symbolizes passion, the libido, and freedom or lack of constraint. The three figures all face in the same direction, suggesting unity of purpose and cohesiveness. Implicit in this symbol is the concept of self-integration, or the idea that an individual must pull himself together and be prepared to seize opportunity when it knocks. At its highest, this symbol represents organizational skills and an exceptional ability to gain the advantage and win the confidence of others by demonstrating the potential to handle whatever is presented. This, to me, it sounds a lot like negotiating, right? Or reading the room, understanding the dynamic that you might be in. How do you pull things together? How do we keep it positive? On the other hand, we're talking about three people, two men and a woman. We're talking about Cancer things, emotional things. I guess some people could experience this as issues within relationships, right? Where there are, three's a crowd kind of thing. It's possible. Sometimes these Sabian symbols are quite literal, but I'm seeing it as just the need to integrate somehow into a group, or somehow gain cooperation, right? It's almost like everybody wants the same thing, but might be going at it differently, and there could be some chaos there. Uh, Negative for this symbol would be dependency or a tendency to feel helpless and incompetent without the support of others. The accent is on making plans for a journey or trip. You may find that instead of prioritizing things and making choices, you are trying to have things both ways or have your cake and eat it too. Your greatest advantage lies in demonstrating your competency and skills and proving you are the right one for the job. Guard against letting your emotions get out of hand. Use your reason. You really can make it on your own if you try. Keywords would be cohesion, congruity, agreement, accord, consistency, inception, beginnings, commencement, decision, mediation. Well, there you go. And I hadn't read it before. So that's kind of how I saw it too. And so we might find that we're in the middle of, on one side or the other, or just sort of standing in the middle of some things that need to be negotiated, right? And there could be a little bit of panic and disarray going on. And I'll show you why I say that, because it's in the chart, right? So let's pop the chart up here so we can take a look at that. Here we have it. The full moon in the sign of Cancer, January 13th, today, 2025, happening on the East Coast at 5:36 p.m. So it's already happened over there. You can still see it. The full moon was so bright this morning when I left. So, you know, we see the entrance in, right? The ingress into the full moon, and then we see it for a little while after. So very, very bright full moon. Happened here where I am at 3:26 p.m., 2:26 p.m. on the West Coast. So we are in the throes of this full moon right now. Okay, so let's take a look at it. Of course, my Epic Pen isn't working either. It was like, oh my gosh, is one thing after another going to go wrong here. All right, here's the full moon. We have the sun in Capricorn. We have the moon in Cancer. That's what creates the full moon, is the opposition from the sun and the moon. We've got some other things at play here. We have this full moon conjunct Mars retrograde in the sign of Cancer. That makes this full moon super dynamic. And when we're talking about the moon in its own sign, so it's comfortable there in Cancer, conjunct Mars, where Mars is not comfortable in Cancer, retrograde, we have a recipe for things to go boom, right? Emotions to run really, really high. Panic in terms of feeling at a loss when it comes to our comfort and our security, or protecting our home and our family, or just honestly not being able to control our emotions. And usually that has something to do, it's protective, right? Cancer is very protective. So if we're in a protective mode, or if it's things that we've been holding in for a long time. Cancer is obviously about history, right? History and memories, and you know, things that we hang on to. And so when we have Mars conjunct this moon in Cancer, which is already moody and sensitive, there is a recipe for panic and disruption for sure. Opposite the sun in the sign of Capricorn, in the practical sign of Capricorn, that wants to make a plan, that wants to act a little bit mature, doesn't move quite as fast, and says, you know, basically to the other side is saying, you know, kind of like, suck it up, buttercup, you know, don't lose it. We've got things to work on. Our best way forward, our best approach is to be practical, right? To plan and to be patient for the outcome. And Mars conjunct the moon in Cancer is none of those things, right? So opposites. And of course, you know, full moon is opposites. This could be very challenging depending on what side you're on. Usually an opposition represents, you know, dealing with a situation outside of us, a person outside of us. So there is something that, depending on what side we're on, we are having to navigate in some way. Mercury is right there. I just want to say Mercury is in the sign of Capricorn, and I think that's our saving grace. Mercury is right here. The mind, communication in the practical, sign of Capricorn that can plan, that can take charge, that can manage situations, that can sort of command attention and keep a clear head. I like Mercury in Capricorn with this full moon. I think that could be a very, very grounding force when it comes to whether or not things are getting out of hand, because they could with a full moon like this. And, you know, as you notice, the Mars is retrograde, like I pointed out. And so it's coming towards, it's applying to the moon, and the moon is coming towards Mars. So they're going to conjunct, and the moon is going to pass over Mars. So this is in the next day, actually by yes. So this the effects of this you could be feeling for a while, right? You could be feeling this for the next couple of days, if not anyway, you know, already anyway, but the moon is going to be conjunct Mars. And so, you know, maybe just shortly after this new moon, maybe right about now, there things could heat up, right? So what is Mars? Mars can be aggression. It can be fast movements. It represents sometimes violence, aggression. Mars is cutting, severing, fires, things that move very, very fast in the Cancer. And within what? Cancerian things. We look at the fires in California. The fires broke out in California when Mars hit 29 degrees retrograde of Cancer. 29 degrees, an anaretic degree, very, very powerful. And now we're dealing with the fallout. They're still trying to put the fires out. Well, what do we have? You know, we have the other side of that, you know, the folks, firefighters and you know, people on the ground, first responders, and some people that are in the middle of this thing that are able to keep their cool and their head about it, trying to organize and help people, and take control of things and sort of think through and plan. And the balance of trying to deal with that, or people who have lost their homes, right? Mars in Cancer, this full moon in Cancer, this is a difficult thing to do. Mars, there are some things that are positive, right? This full moon is trining Neptune in the sign of Pisces. And we can look at any aspect a couple of different ways, but this is, you know, maybe after the meltdown, after the crisis, the catharsis, the you know, the thought process, or release of emotions, we're able, and that's what that is. Neptune is a release of emotions. A trine is of the nature of Jupiter. So that release, you know, where Neptune comes into play here and dissolves all the boundaries, and Neptune is very watery. It could be where we've released it and we're ready to let it go, and we're ready to start working towards, you know, how do we, whoops, that's not good. How we start moving forward, right? How do we work together? How we create plans? I'm not making lines very good with this, so I don't think I'm going to do that anymore. And, you know, Mars conjunct the moon trine Neptune can be a lack of, you know, Neptune dissolves, right? Lack of what? Lack of water, lack of sensitivity, right? Neptune is very watery and sensitive. It could be heightened intuition. This could be angels, you know, coming to help. This could be hopefully water coming down on the fires. We're just talking about this one particular example that fits this full moon for sure. But we do have Neptune, and a trine is positive for all intents and purposes, a positive aspect. So, you know, hopefully helping us see some kind of higher meaning or purpose behind whatever it is that we're experiencing, and having to possibly release or to intuitively understand in some way. So that we have the trine to Neptune, which means we have a sextile. So we have a sextile and a trine. So the sun in Capricorn can also be compassionate. The sun in Capricorn is going to say, okay, we need to calm down. What is it that we need to realize or release, or we can be more practical in our approach of in consoling, people, or trying to navigate or negotiate, what it is that we're doing or we need to do. So those are positive aspects with this full moon. We do also have Uranus over here in the sign of Taurus, sextiling the full moon and trining the sun in Capricorn. So Uranus is in the sign of Taurus, practical earth sign. Sextile this full moon in Cancer, this very emotional, triggering full moon. Sextile Uranus, we could find solutions very quickly. Things could be moving very fast. Taurus is a sign of resources. We have to go looking for those resources. It's a sextile is the of the nature of Venus, so we have to go looking for it. Be a little lazy. It's not going to come to us. So we might be able to very quickly resolve some issues or see the sun, what kind of resources we need, and have access to those resources so that we can start to temper down situations. So that's a positive aspect with this full moon. Now, the full moon in Cancer, again, in its home sign, we have the sun in Capricorn. And I talked about Mercury in Capricorn, which I really like for this full moon. We have all of that Capricorn being ruled by Saturn in the sign of Pisces, more water, more emotions, right? More lack of boundaries. And it's conjunct Venus, which is exalted in the sign of Pisces. This tells me that there's compassion, right? There are options. There are things that can be done in a very practical way, so that we all understand that really we're just connected, right? What can we do to help one another? Venus conjunct Saturn, that's one possibility. What can we do? Who can lend us some advice? Venus conjunct Saturn in the sign of Pisces, an older woman, somebody with spiritual advice, a saving grace, somebody who brings food. I saw a YouTube video yesterday where Jennifer Garner was helping serve food, Venus and Saturn, where Halle Berry was giving away her entire closet. That is a good example of Venus and Saturn, just somebody who is mature and wise and has sort of been through it and has a spiritual side, can actually help, help comfort. At the same time, Venus conjunct Saturn is a shortage too. It can be cold, and Venus conjunct Saturn, where is the love, right? It's sort of, Saturn can cause delays and blocks and seriousness, and those boundaries could be thrown up, and we don't know where we're going to get money to handle these things. Venus can be money. It can have, Venus in Pisces has wants, right? And where is it going to get the resources? Is it being shut down, Saturn? These things can play out a lot of different ways, but Saturn is ruling all of the Capricorn energy here, and Pluto in the sign of Aquarius. Its traditional ruler is Saturn as well. So that entire stellium up there, including in Capricorn, and Pluto in Aquarius is being ruled by Saturn in Pisces conjunct Venus in its exaltation, which I think is helpful, right? Just like, the moon is in Cancer, it's conjunct a malefic planet, Mars, but the moon is in its home sign. So yes, it means stronger. That could be, it's more intense, but it also has the ability to recover and sort of, express itself in the, in a more rational, practical way, or a better way, I should say. Rational, practical is not the thing, but in a better way. So we have that going on here. the full moon. What other things can we talk about? I mean, Cancer rules the stomach, the mucosa. It's funny because a lot of people are sick. Like this could be stomach flus. This could be, just having like getting over a cold. I'm getting over a cold and it's like clearing your throat. Cancer rules the breasts. It's everything that is motherly in terms of parts of our body. So we want to really take good care of that. This is really like a placement that talks about, stomach problems, stomach issues, upsets, tummies. What from what, right? Probably emotional response to something. Cancer holds things inside, and so a lot of times their physical, the physical manifestation of symptoms of illness comes from an emotional place. So we're looking at that here. So, be careful, take good care of yourself, try and do good Cancer things, eat warm food or tea, stay cozy if you can. A lot of people aren't able to do that. This Mars conjunct the moon in the sign of Cancer is, when we talk about losing our homes, we don't talk about just about, the fires in California. That's an example. But I think we have the highest eviction rate right now in the United States in certain areas of the country that we've had for a very long time. So people are truly losing their homes, and having to leave their families behind, and they're losing members of their family. All of those things are Cancer things, and we're seeing those things. Here in Phoenix over the weekend, Saturday, this is an extreme example, but it fits the astrology. Is there was a woman that was shot apparently and unfortunately, and they found her right in front of a BJ's brewery. I don't know if you guys have BJ's breweries anywhere, but it's a restaurant. They found her in the doorway of the BJ's brewery at like 5 a.m. in the morning. Cancer represents food, represents restaurants. Mars is shooting. I don't know what happened here. They haven't investigated it, but that is it fits the astrology, unfortunately. And of course, I'm not trying to scare you. Like, that's an extreme example, right? An extreme example. I mean, for me personally, I can tell you, like, I don't have cardinal placements. I do have a Lilith in Capricorn, which is opposite this moon, and the sun is there. But the way that there you go, Cancer. The way that I experienced it a couple of times today is that my grandson, I took him to school this morning. He was really crabby. He has a Mars in Cancer at 28 degrees. So this was really affecting him this morning. Did not want to get out of bed. It was cold here. He was tired. And then on the way, he found out he was missing assignments, and it was just not a good ride to school. So I just kind of let it go. When I got home, I sent him a text, sort of, addressing the issue, and then offering, a solution, and saying that I would help him, but also saying, you can't take things out on other people, and especially me right now in the morning. And that was fine. Like he heard that. But when I got home, and like I had already studied some of this full moon, I was like, well, boy, wasn't that the full moon. And I think on that side of it, I was the Cancerian piece of that puzzle. And I don't think I would have been, years and years ago. But you get older, and Capricorn represents, old people and being mature. And I happen to be a Gemini. So Mercury is in Capricorn, and that's my chart ruler. So I'm kind of feeling that way. I don't always feel calm like that, but that was one example. And then another example is I have a client in my medical consulting business. I actually am entertaining one, and then I've been working with another, and both of them had emergencies today. And I gotta tell you, like, I've been trying to sort of like get things moving on these projects, and it's everybody responds when they have time, and I totally get that. But it's like the communication I got was, oh my gosh, it's 911. Can you do this? When can you do this? Can you start doing this right now? And I'm like, well, I'll work with people and try and fit everything in my schedule. But one thing I thought right away was somebody else's lack of planning, Capricorn, is not my emergency. There's a saying, I've heard people say it, but that's what it felt like getting these calls and emails going, oh my gosh, can you do this right now? What do? And, rather than saying out loud, well, I was kind of trying to address this a little a couple of weeks ago. It is what it is, right? Let's just come up with a plan and move forward. And that's what we did. And everybody seems to be okay at this point. But that was another way that this full moon showed up for me today on the day of the full moon. So we'll see. Like I said, if you're a cardinal sign, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, or Aries, within those degrees, 20 degrees to 28, 29 degrees even, you're feeling this, right? You're feeling this in any of those cardinal signs. So I hope you guys are doing okay. And we do have mutable squares still. We still have, like I talked about, the Saturn in Pisces that is still squaring Jupiter and Gemini. Jupiter is in its fallen Gemini. Good thing, like I said, we have Venus conjunct Saturn. I mean, things could get a little bit icy, but Venus, wherever she is, she tends to, give an opportunity to sort of ease things. But the square to Jupiter is still frustrating. Jupiter's retrograde. Jupiter wants expansion. It wants to give us something. It wants us to grow. It wants us to have understanding and clarity. A little difficult in the sign of Gemini, but there's so much going on with Jupiter and Gemini, even if just in our minds, right? Or with other people or in conversations, right? Gemini's communication or just news that we're hearing. What is the truth? Which way do I go? What project do I start first? All of those things. The square from, Venus, Saturn squaring Jupiter, if we're feeling a little shut down in love, shut down in emotions, we are, wanting to, maybe we could be wanting to put a boundary up or make a commitment to something or someone. And the square to Jupiter is causing a frustration. It's like, no, it's not time for this now, or you've got too much on your plate. You don't understand enough about the bigger picture quite yet. So the square is attention, right? Something has to be stopped, delayed, Saturn, or a decision has to be made, have to move forward, but we don't move forward quickly with Saturn generally. And Jupiter's not there to say, okay, green light, right? It's Jupiter retrograde is more like a yellow light. It's like caution, right? I mean, I think I've seen Jupiter and Gemini sort of give us a little bit of openings here and there and a little bit of niceties, but it's just sort of like I haven't had anything completely flower yet, right? Maybe you guys have, but that's kind of how it feels. It's like, it's budding a little bit and maybe it closes a little depending on the sunlight, but nothing's opened up. It will soon, but the Saturn square to Jupiter is a little frustrating. Venus might conjunct Saturn right now might make us feel a little bit more tolerant of it. Maybe it doesn't feel as intense, hopefully. So this full moon is, be careful. Like when you're talking about home, family, security, be careful driving, be careful around water, be careful in your kitchens, right? Cancer is the kitchen and cooking. Be careful you don't cut your finger or slip and fall. All those things. Be careful. Like keep your doors and your windows locked. Don't just open the doors. Pay attention to your surroundings, protect your family, protect your home, keep your wits about you. That's what's good about the Capricorn energy. It's like if there's somebody in the room or it happens to be you that can keep, a level head, this is a good thing right now with this, with the moon conjunct Mars in Cancer. But really you want to be pretty vigilant in terms of maintaining your space and your comfort and your security, right? And watching out for your family. And if it's an emotional time and it's just a release, I had a friend the other day, she happens to be a Cancer sun, a Capricorn rising, she's usually very, very thoughtful and careful about how she expresses things. But she got herself in a situation. She called me. She says, I just lost my cool. I literally just went off. And I was like, well, isn't there you go. This was time was ripe for that to happen to her. Her rising is at right about 24 degrees of Capricorn. So she's definitely getting this full moon, the full force of this full moon, which would be the first in the seventh house. So I've heard a lot about those kinds of things going on, but definitely protection, if needed, is something that you want to do. But also, maybe we could help other people. If you're a Mars in Cancer, like people that have Mars in Cancer, they're used to that energy, so they may very well be able to balance out things very nicely, very quickly, and be the heroes that come in and help people when they're not feeling well, or when they're having a catastrophic event, like a house burning down, or a family member getting sick, or somebody that can help people move, right? Mars in Cancer is moving. The moon is home. All kinds of things can be going on with this full moon, but definitely it is going to be, it's going to be a lot about memories and our families and our homes and mothers, right? All Cancerian things. So make sure the ground underneath you is steady, right? Cancer rules the fourth house, which is the bottom of the chart. So we're talking about your homeland and your foundations and all of the things that you're walking on. So you want to be careful with that too. And try and, dodge the stomach bugs and the colds that cause, throat irritations and things like that. All kinds of those things going on right now. Hopefully not for you. We have, the nodes here. I didn't change the nodes, but I want to mention it. The nodes here are showing as still as Libra and Aries, which means Mars would be ruling the North Node. That is the mean node that's up on my chart, but actually the true node just moved into 29 degrees of Pisces, 29 degrees of Virgo, which where the South Node will be. So we're going to start a whole new cycle for a year and a half with Pisces and Virgo things. So North Node Pisces, to be more compassionate, to look after our emotions, to let things get a little bit messy, and not worry so much, Virgo, about how we make things perfect. And, can we serve everybody? Really strong Virgo placements, they take on a lot. They want to help everybody and everything. And they can kind of come in and take over. They can be picky. They cause themselves a lot of stress if things aren't perfect. This is the time with the North Node in Pisces, the South Node in Virgo, to sort of relax a little bit and lean more into spirituality, relaxation, watery, emotional, sensitive type things. Pisces is also the sign of letting things go, right? Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, so it can be about endings and just letting things rest, and so that we can start something new. And we may have come to that realization with the North Node going through Aries of what it is that we have to let go of so that we can start that new project. We've gone off and we've done our own thing for a year and a half and tried to figure out, where things are settling. And Pisces, this time through with Pisces and Virgos on the nodes, can give us an opportunity to sit with all of that and meditate on it and let go of the things that we don't need so we can begin a new cycle. So a year and a half, Pisces, North Node, South Node, Virgo, and we'll talk more about that. I'll talk more about that as we go. But it's going to be a very different vibe going into 2025 for sure. So let me know in the comments how y'all are doing, how this full moon affect you. How are you feeling? Are you a cardinal sign? Did you get hit by this thing? Are you a mutable sign, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, or Pisces, and you're still feeling a little bit stuck? Like things just haven't quite gotten where you've wanted them to be yet. Or are you a Pisces? If you're Pisces, Virgo, are you feeling the shift? Are you feeling the shift into a North Node Pisces, South Node Virgo? Let me know. It should be interesting. Okay. Thank you for being here, and Happy New Year again. I will talk to you soon. Hopefully, I will be back for the next new moon. Until then, take good care. May the stars forever be in your favor, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.